I am not a game developer, but I would like to be one. So I started learning Godot a bit over a month ago. I've been working on some small projects so I can learn, like a rock, paper, scissors game with some recursion and a triple triad ripoff, and I figured I might as well upload them to itch.io. As I was trying to figure out the site, I noticed there's a ton of game jams, and thought attempting to participate in one of them would be a pretty good project. And after looking through them, I decided I would join Trijam number 242, a game jam where you must make your game in only 3 hours. And so, I streamed the process of attempting to make a game. Welcome to anyone watching this for whatever reason. I do question your life choices, but so be it. Let's give it a shot. See if just maybe, I might be able to maybe make something. And the theme of this game jam is dual reality. So I've got some thoughts on that. Luckily, prior to actually starting the timer, I can keep thinking about that. Imagine basic JRPG setup. You've got, let's say up top you've got your enemy of some sort. Boom, a slime. There we go. Down here, you've got... Let's see if I can draw a stick man without doing it, without looking. Yeah, that's close enough. Got down here, your person. We'll say just one person because it's a game jam. Cool. But then, the theme is dual realities. Something else over here. Let's say you choose one over here. It also chooses one on the other side. So at this point, I had the basic idea in mind, and tried to figure out the details of what to do with it. Ultimately, though, I ended up just making buttons first, and figuring out the details later. Ultimately, I am limited by what I can do. Not just in terms of only getting 3 hours to work on this, but also just, I don't know what I'm doing. Let's actually get going on this. Scary as this is. Okay, first things first, I will make like a little divider, and then make 2 sets of 4 buttons, and then link the buttons, ideally so that when one of them is, like, hovered, both buttons in the pair are treated as being hovered. So you can visually see you have both buttons going. Oh, we're just going now. It's going, let's go, here we go. I'll admit, I do think it would have been worth considering just ignoring the time limit and taking the time to think through what I'm doing and figuring out how best to approach things. I think that very well could have given me a better opportunity to learn. That said, pushing myself to just get things done without worrying too much about the details is probably also worthwhile as well. And like that, we've already used up over 5 minutes. Cool. So I threw together some buttons, grouped them into 2 sets, and gave each of them a variable for its paired button on the other side. I then put together some code that would make it so when the mouse hovers over a button, it turns gold, as well as the button on the other side. And then when the mouse is no longer hovering, it goes back to normal. We are going back to brainstorming, so I am stopping the timer. I am not currently, in fact, I'll even minimize Godot. I'm not currently building the game right now. Timer can stop for a moment. I need to think. So on one side, we'll have an enemy. They'll need hit points and actions that they can do, which will just be done at random. And then player will also have some form of hit points. And then their actions. Okay, I think we'll go with the idea of one side being fighting against, like, a Hydra or something, and the other side being the cleric idea, the healer, just trying not to have their warrior die. And then we can hone in and pick one of them to be the one that you actually have to try and win. Unless we want this to be like an endless game of see how many turns you can survive before one of them dies. Which is a valid idea, just not one I was planning for at the time I started, and thus not one I'm immediately willing to put much faith in, unless we would actually think this through. So, if the right side were to be a healer, we would have like one option that is, I guess, heal. Another would be gather some MP, for example. You could have one option be to heal yourself, while the other options are healing your tank and, I don't know, heal DPS, and your goal is just make sure no one dies. Could also just have it be, instead of healing a DPS, you have an option to heal both, but it takes a lot more MP to heal both at once. The more I think about it, the more I am liking this, the healer side of things, being our try not to fail side. So we can focus on the left side, the warrior doing their battle, as our real win condition. So let's get started on our plan. So we need to make a script on main, give it a variable for if the game is currently active, and a variable for if buttons are currently able to be pressed. And then we need to make a script for the groups of buttons, left side, right side. Make those scripts and give them each a function for how to handle button presses. And for starters, we can just print what button was pressed. So print a string of sides and button name. Okay, timer's going. Let's go. Cool, cool. Boom, boom. Okay. It works. It works. So now, we need to change these scripts so they actually do stuff. Meaning, we need stuff for them to do. So now, we need bad guy... on one side, we need a bad guy and a warrior. On the other side, we need a warrior and a healer. That means I have to like look up assets or try and make them. Actually, you know what? I have a sprite. I don't know what I'm really doing. Timer still goes for this, by the way, because it is still making assets for the game. I would then proceed to regret pretending I had even the slightest hint of an idea as to what I am doing. That is awful. I cannot stand to look at this. I wasted time on this. Look at that programmer art. Isn't that cool? Booyah. We have wasted time. But we still have 2 hours 20. Now what? We're going to make a general node, and this will be a little component we can slap onto everything that handles health. We'll just say here and now, heals are negative damage. That is how we are going to implement it for this. That is set in stone now. That's how it is going to be. No, we are flipping this around because I don't like that. Damage is negative healing. That is how we will implement it. So I have said, so it shall be. That should be good. But now, for each of our things, for both characters, the enemy and the tank, we need to implement a function that handles when health reaches 0. Anyways, whole point of making this a little node in and of itself is now we can attach it to everything else. Copy, paste. Do I want the health component itself to also be the health bar? I think I do. No reason to have it be separate, is there? We're just placing these all haphazardly. So now what are we thinking? Okay, so if either things on the right side reach 0 health, it's game over. But on the left side, it's only game over if the character runs out of health. If the enemy runs out of health, it's the win condition. What we really should do is get parent dot get parent. rather than being dealt with by the character, which would then just pass it up to the manager anyway, we can deal with it directly in the manager script. And actually what we should do is health at 0, self, passing itself as the thing. It's at this point in the editing process that I realize it'd probably be much easier just to throw in some music for sections like these instead of talking over them for more context and whatnot. But it's a bit late for that now. I can't really be bothered to redo everything prior to this point, and to start doing that now would just be inconsistent. Cool. Now we have a placeholder for functionality. It has now been 59 minutes of actual work on this. We don't have anything to actually remove health yet. I mean, we have the function in place, but the buttons don't do anything. I then went on to give the healer its MP bar. I adjusted how a few things looked, and then it was time to actually try and turn the right side of the game into a game. Except I then realized I'd never actually made a script on the main node for the variables of if the game is over yet and if buttons can be pressed, so I did that first, of course. But then I tried to actually make the game a game. If not game end, then we see what button we got. This part's fairly straightforward. If the button is to gather MP, you get some MP. Otherwise, assuming you have the MP for it, we take away the MP and you get your health. And then I think for simplicity, we could just have it do nothing if there's not enough mana, not even throw an error or anything. We can't really see that healing is happening because no damage has happened. And currently we're not even doing that. So then, after doing the action, so 3 and 10 attacks will ping the healer, otherwise it's the tank. Boom, this should now work. Okay, I can already tell you this is not balanced. But it works. It works. It works. Wait. It works. I want to make it so you can tell whether or not you can actually click, or whether or not those buttons will actually do anything. But why do that when I can just go back here? We have the right side functional. We are approaching very closely to 1.5 hours done, and therefore 1.5 hours remaining. This is where we're at, by the way. After adjusting it so that the buttons would stop working when it's game over, I decided I may as well call it a night. With just under half my time remaining, I would just leave it for the next day. But yeah, so what we have to work on now is getting the left side working, which I've done some brainstorming on. I've got roughly an idea of what I want from that. I want to implement some background music just because, you know, that's kind of a good thing to have. Sprites, I don't think white squares are going to be, you know, the most visually appealing thing. And then we need to actually like implement, hey, you win, you lose. And ideally a restart button with that as well. Right now, right side is functional, left side does not have functionality. Let's give the left side some functionality. Let's take our right side script. Now we won't copy and paste the whole thing. Instead, we'll just go like that. We'll have to replace this at some point. And now, as far as button pressed, you know what, fine, we are copying all of this. So I'm thinking what we're going to want for the left side, we'll have a weak strike, then we'll have our standard strike, a wild strike. Wild strike will just have a wider range of how much damage it can do. In fact, we'll make the basic strike like steady strike. And then defend. So my thoughts behind this are, on the right side, you need to focus on gathering MP and then keeping both of them healed up. So it'd be all too easy to just gather MP 1, 2, 3, then heal team, repeat, repeat, repeat. So by making these two inefficient options, you're encouraged to actively do these to finish this fight, but doing those could be wasteful if you don't need to heal. So the system for making each button do things is very similar to how it is on the right side, but then when it's the enemy's turn, rather than a random target for damage being selected, it randomly decides between doing just 1 damage or 5. This forces the player to use their stronger attacks more often, or else they won't be able to outpace the damage of the dragon. It also means that the defend skill, which reduces damage taken by 1, really just makes it so 2 and 3 attacks do nothing to you, and 1 is still a sizable hit. So, let's see if this just works as is. Please tell me it does. Okay, cool. Looking at everything, we'll do a weak strike and gather 1 MP. Yeah. We'll do it again. And again. Okay, so now we will heal the tank. Yeah, we did more damage that time, it looked like. Okay. But we do need to do more damage, so we will just do some wild strikes. It's wasteful, but we're doing more damage when we do that stuff. Oh, game over. Cool, it appears the game actually works. We've got something. Well, current time, we spent like a little under 15 minutes getting that working. Cool. Let's get it so when you win, a thing will pop up saying, "You win! Restart." And same with losing. "You lose! Restart." So this is the last bit of functionality I really needed before the game could technically be considered complete, minus the fact that it had no sound or art. I wasn't going to add like a main menu or anything. It would just immediately start the game, and then when you lose or win, you can just press the button and start over. No menus or anything, just game. And once I had this finally complete, well, it's a game. It's still lacking, the parts that make it a real game, a real experience, but it'd be playable. And we should just be able to, yep. Then it works. It works. Cool. Basically, all we need to get this to be good is to look good. Since it functionally works, we want some kind of a monster here, a warrior here, and a healer here. Some background music would also help make this good. It works. Cool. I'm not going to bother with adding in sound effects because I am not familiar enough with all this to actually get that to work in a reasonable amount of time. With just under an hour left, I started looking online for any free assets I could just plug in and use to get it over with. But as time was ticking and I couldn't find anything that I felt like using, I decided I would just go ahead and use what time I had to maybe see if just maybe, perhaps, I could make some art that didn't look absolutely trash. I mean, I could try and do a little bit of pixel artistry, but I would not make anything worthwhile. It would just be trash. Ba 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 ba. We have a healer. Now, that works. And now we need big ol' scary monster for these stick people to face. Let's see what big thing can we make. Okay, could we make like a dragon? And big ol' wings. I think the answer is going to have to be no, we cannot make a dragon. Always go with something basic like a slime. That could work, but let's think more. It's a snake! It's a coiled snake! It's a spider! Now let's actually give dragon a real thought here. I was hoping to avoid having to make my own art for this, for that is a skill I have yet to learn, as you can clearly see. That looks vaguely dragon-like. You know what, that'll have to do. Yeah. We have done it. We have awful sprites. We have music. We have gameplay. So we'll say I had 22 minutes left. We have completed a game jam project in 2 hours, 38 minutes, approximately. Because now, all that's left is to export this. That doesn't count against my time. Yeah, I've done it. I've made something. Is it good? Well, you look at that dragon and you tell me. Okay, one thing I would like to do. Yeah, this will count against my time. I'll tack on like an extra 2 minutes. Environment. Default clear color. Maybe brighten it up a bit. See, how does that look? Yeah, that'll work. That'll work. So now it'll look like... Here we have it. $70 retail price. Just you wait until the day -1 $30.50 DLC season pass. That is only a single DLC item. Man, that is one awful looking dragon. But what's done is done. This is what I'm going to export. So yeah, I was able to submit something that is ostensibly a game to a game jam. It's not good, but it's functional. It's lacking in many, many ways. Like, there's no sound effects, the art is just awful. There's no title screen or options. In fact, I almost didn't even think to add in any background music. I'm still in the, like, early stages of learning all this, and thus I couldn't really implement much beyond what I did. Nevertheless, I feel good about the direction things have gone so far, and I'm glad I took part in this game jam. It would have been nice to get more feedback, but I feel like I have a good grasp on just how lacking this game is anyways. You can play it yourself via link, probably up in the corner, though I wouldn't bother personally. Overall, I am quite satisfied that I have taken part in a game jam now. But I probably should just get back to learning more. I'm probably not going to try another game jam until I've got a better grasp on more of the basics. Anyways, smile. Till next time.